Who will hold the chair? Who will call us out on strike? Demand their equal shares. Danny, dear old Danny, Belfast won't remain, for he's gone to fight the fascists at the civil war in Spain. Hitler sent the bombers, Mussolini sent big guns. Mother Church sent curses on their daughters and their sons. They came from many countries to fight to save Madrid. And no one knows just how they held, but the whole world knows they did. They fought to make us equal, went back the rich man's gains, and they died in bloody trenches at the civil war in Spain. Well, you fought well in Arama and Aragon as well. On the plains of old Cordoba, sure they blew you all to hell. You crossed the Ebro River, your blood its banks did stain, and Ireland lost her fighting men at the civil war in Spain. They fought to make us equal, win back the rich man's gains, and they died in bloody trenches at the civil war in Spain. Thomas Lynch from Dublin, Danny Boyd from Belfast town, David Walsh from Ballina, sure they fell on Spanish ground. Kit Conway, Tipperary, Mickey Kelly from Ballinasloe, Frank Ryan taken prisoner, sure they never would come home. Charlie Donnelly from Cullybackey grew up in Dundalk town. His fighting spirit, not forget that he died on Spanish ground. The fascist bullets won't permit dear old Danny to return. The faithful loss, those Belfast folk will never cease to mourn. They fought for the Condy column, the brave 15th Brigade. Many died for freedom at the civil war in Spain. They fought to make us equal, win back rich man's gains. They died in bloody trenches at the civil war in Spain. I believe that was one of Eddie's favourite songs.
I will ask, first of all, thank you, Colin, for that beautiful song, and I will ask Oisin to come forward and unveil the plaque. All I'd ask will lay the wreaths. So we'll ask, I'll call on Liam to lay the wreaths on behalf of friends and comrades. Today, a wreath on behalf of us because she's the baby of the house. few people who made this monument possible. First of all, I'd like to thank Kieran, who put so much effort and hard work into it, but he couldn't have done it without Slib Hannah, Francie McCann, Colin McFadden, Paddy Marshall, Anthony Kearns, and not forgetting Paddy the builder, who does these cairns all over the place. I'm sure you'll recognise his work. Patricia for the gardening, and all the rest of Eddie's family for all the hard work and effort they put in.
A great crowd had gathered outside of Kilmainham, their heads all uncovered, they knelt on the ground. For inside that grim prison lay a brave Irish soldier, his life for his country about to lay down. He went to his death like a true son of Ireland, and the firing party he bravely did face. Then the order rang out, present arms and fire. James Connolly fell into ready-made grave. The black flag was hoisted, a cruel deed was over, and gone was the man who loved Ireland so well. There were many a sad heart in Dublin that morning when they murdered James Connolly, the Irish rebel. God's curse on you, England, you cruel-hearted monsters, your deeds they would shame all the devils in hell. There are no flowers blooming, but the shamrock's still growing on the grave of James Connolly, the Irish rebel. Many years have gone by since the Irish rebellion, and the guns of Britannia they loudly did speak, and the bold citizens' army they stood shoulder to shoulder as the blood from their bodies flowed down Sackville Street. In the forecourts of Dublin, the English bombarded the spirit of freedom they tried hard to quell. But above all the din rose a cry, no surrender, was the voice of James Connolly, the Irish rebel.
I'd also like you to put your hands together for the colour party here today. These are made up with ex-comrades of Eddie's who served time in English prisons, and we want to make them very welcome, and thank you very much for making such an effort to come here today.
Óglach Eddie O'Neill left us a year ago, and for his friends and his comrades, his passing and his death left a huge void, but for his family it was a much bigger void. Eddie was an Irish Republican activist. He was an IRA volunteer, and in the words of Sean McDiarmid, as he was being led to his execution on the 12th of May 1916, Sean McDiarmid said, "Damn your concessions, England, we want our country." And that's what Eddie believed in. He spent 14 years of his life in prison in England in horrific conditions, and some of his comrades that were with him at that time are here today. And they fought that system the only way that they could fight it, with their own bodies. And they put their bodies on the line so that the IRA volunteers that came in the 80s and in the 90s, the system and the regime was a little more humane, thanks to the efforts of Eddie and his comrades. Eddie always worried about the men that spent time with him in England. He worried about their well-being, their mental health, their physical health, their well-being and their welfare. And that's why he had regularly a gathering of the clans where the ex-prisoners could meet and discuss and be at ease and reminisce and feel free to discuss things amongst each other in the safety of their companionship and comradeship. He also didn't want their story told as revisionist drivel down through the years. So Eddie made sure that their story was authentic. And that's why we have the volumes 1 and 2 of Category A, their struggle in England. Category A and the volume 3 is about, well, will hopefully appear next year. It's in the process. So that was Eddie, his devotion to the prisoners in England. He was also devoted to the Basque prisoners and to the whole Basque struggle. And it's easy to identify with that because their struggle and our struggle are so similar. Eddie also was responsible for the sponsored walks in order to raise funds to fight for the defence of the Columbia 3. And those sponsored walks raised over $250,000, something that's conveniently forgotten today. Eddie he had so many passions and interests and his commitment to so many causes. He was inspired by Charlie Donnelly and those former IRA volunteers that went out to fight for freedom and democracy in Spain and against fascism. Charlie Donnelly was a huge inspiration to Eddie, coming from his own town, land, well, quite close in Killibrackie. And Eddie is responsible. He started the organisation Phoebe, Friends of the International Brigades of Ireland. And through that organisation, there are plaques and cartons all over Ireland and indeed in Spain to remember those men who went out to fight for democracy, people whose names would now be forgotten. But thanks to Eddie O'Neill and his friends and comrades, their names will not be forgotten. Eddie had so much energy, so much enthusiasm. He was an incredible human being with an incredible intellect. And he used that energy and that enthusiasm to get things done. And we really feel his loss now because that energy motivated us. And there's a lovely story about long ago when warriors went into battle. They placed a stone on the ground and then they went off. And when they came back, they lifted those stones. And they knew by the number of stones that remained how many warriors were lost in the battle. And from the stones that remained, they built a carton. And they built a carton in memory of their fallen warriors. And we have unveiled a carton here today in memory of our fallen warrior, Óglach Eddie O'Neill. And when we're long gone, this garden here will be a place of reflection and remembrance where people can come and think and remember Eddie and what motivated him. Eddie wanted an Ireland united and free. He wanted an Ireland modelled on the works of Tone and Connolly and Mellows, not the counter-revolutionaries that we have in charge today. So maybe when we come here, that we can rededicate ourselves to his ideals, to the ideals that inspire us as Irish Republicans. That's what we want. We want our country free. We want a 32-county united republic, a socialist republic where everyone can have an input into that and where people feel that they belong. So that was Eddie's vision, that's our vision. And I hope by coming to this garden that will inspire us to continue the battle. Eddie's work is done and our work is continuing. So we really need to rededicate ourselves because that garden is pointing north. Eddie had a poem about that where he used to talk about the slave. The star was the symbol of freedom to the slave and it was the crown of the free. So let us think of Eddie O'Neill and rededicate ourselves and thank everyone for what they have done to remember Eddie. And let's rededicate ourselves to Eddie's mission and Eddie's dream and Eddie's hopes for a free, united Ireland and an Ireland where there's a welcome for everybody and a world where fascism is finally stubbed out. So, Glyn le Céile, because there was a writer in West Kerry, and he was called Tomás O'Crane. He came from the Blasket Islands. And as he wrote the final piece of his book, Until On of the Islander, he said, Ní himid ar lehedi arisht. We will not see the likes of us again. Well, we will not see the likes of Eddie O'Neill again. Rest in peace, my comrade.
And Colin will just finish off now with a round of applause. Thank you.
J'ai le fil de vol, à part regarde la guerre, oui, dans le partir de ron et que, bringing us pressing, chancher, chef, yasta, the offer, cheer got nothing wrong. I know good things I've heard well. The gunner get convoys no sell. They got each grip between life